I'd like to announce a meeting this evening, this Thursday, March the 13th at 6 p.m. at the Town Hall. And then the first order of business is to approve the minutes dated January the 2nd. Do I have a motion for approval?
I have one typo correction, I think, to make on page 7. First full paragraph, Mr. Coates asked Mr. Small Kevin.
So we could just reverse that.
Mr.
Sure
Big
we
Kevin.
didn't mean to make any height comments about our planning director.
I hope not.
Leslie,
What page is that?
page 7. First full paragraph. Everybody see it?
Yes.
Which one?
It says here, ask Mr. Small Kevin. So it should be Kevin Small.
It's a Big Kev.
I looked at that 3 times, I still didn't see it.
So, is there anybody else have anything else?
No.
So with that correction, I move that the minutes be approved as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I will abstain. I was not here.
Right.
Oh, dear.
Ready to do nominations? Elizabeth Thompson, Town Council for the Town of Bel Air. I call for nominations of the Chair of the Bel Air Planning Commission.
Nominate Lois Kissinger Kelly.
Any other nominations?
Move nominations be closed.
Second.
In favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, well,
Aye.
thank you very much.
All in aye for-
That's very nice of you.
Chair Lois Kelly.
Okay, and I nominate Peter Schler for vice chair, please.
Second.
All those in favor?
Move, yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
I guess.
Aye. Brutes for punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The first order of business is the new business approval of the Planning Commission 2024 annual report.
All right. Obviously, for Jimmy's edification, the Planning Commission issues a report every year reviewing its previous year activities, projects that have been approved, projects that have been denied, any legislation that would affect the Planning Commission's ability to proceed with their duties, and then kind of a summary of some of the projects that and improvements that have happened in the town. I have, let's see, starting on page, and let me know if there's any corrections that you see up to the Commission and Board summary. There was a correction that was provided by Mr. Hines, which I gave you revised pages in front of you. I apologize to Mr. Hines for omitting him.
Oh.
And that it shows that Keith Powell Keith Powell is being resigned. We'll probably change that to term ending or something like that, because he technically didn't resign. So
How about we use the term retired?
retired. That sounds good. Any changes to any more changes to that page? Some of the capital improvements that we have, Homestead Park has been rehabbed and is still in the process of getting a playground. That'll happen here in the next couple of months.
I noticed they mentioned pickleball courts. Is that
2
still going to
pickleball
be
courts
part?
are down there.
They're
They're
already there?
very active.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, well used.
Good.
We actually put rules on there because I think we had some people that were disputing each other. Also, some of the other things we did stormwater management and added off-street parking, which was a big deal for planning is that we wanted to make sure people were not getting out of their cars, opening up their doors in McPhail traffic, which is not exactly slow. So, Plumtree Park is also going through rehabilitation. In fact, what will be happening in the next few days is a new 12-inch thick layer of EWF, which stands for engineered wood fiber. That will be put on the park playground, and then the parking lot will be paved and no longer be gravel. That actually ends of all the parks in town, that was the last one to not be handicapped accessible. Now it will be. So we're happy with that. Burns Alley improvements.
Question.
Okay, yes.
How are you going to secure the AED equipment
That's gonna be my question.
Oh, really? Okay.
that it doesn't walk or get stolen?
Well, we have several AEDs that are going in town properties. I'm not sure I can answer that because that's kind of a,
Out in a park is to, 2 o'clock in the morning.
right. I'm not sure you can, to be honest, but
I'm just curious.
it's a bit of a pet project of
I think it's
Eddie.
good to have something like that there, but at the same time.
Yeah.
just
I,
to keep those.
I would call it something like the little free libraries that are out there. Little free libraries have been vandalized in that park
Yes.
several times.
Yes, it has.
And one of the things I would like to do is move that Little Free Library out to the road. And same with the AEDs. They should be out next to the road. So they're more visible. People can't be kind of hiding in the shadows of the park. One of the things that we've been doing with all of the parks in town is removing any shrubs and only retaining trees, because that opens up the park to visibility from the road and from adjacent property owners.
The only thought on moving the little library out to the road, which otherwise makes perfect sense with the new narrowed street,
Mm-hmm.
people will park there to do their little library thing, and then there wouldn't be enough room for 2 cars to get by, which is gonna be this is gonna be an interesting,
It could be.
Change
I
the
know
traffic.
that the,
but that would just add to that.
right. I'm hoping they don't. Right now, we had looked at the Thomas Street, and really hardly anybody would park on Thomas.
No, but they will if you put the library out.
Well, that's true. I guess I
That's what
suppose that's
mean.
true.
That's why I'm just questioning that.
The alternative would be to just keep it where it's at and just repair it whenever it's,
Or put it
anything happens
somewhere,
to it.
and I guess there's a certain value to have it there at the park where there's children and so on, but that would be a potential downside, because
Yeah.
people would just stop there and,
most of those little free libraries are next to playgrounds. There's a few that are downtown.
you know,
So I'm not sure what the alternative is.
Kevin, the AEDs need an active electrical source.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess that might actually determine where it goes in the park, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's something we're kind of leaving up to Public Works to locate those in an appropriate location. They should be visible so people know they're there.
Yeah, they're in a great big huge yellow box.
Yeah.
So,
They're definitely not
Yeah,
low.
so far, it's still there. but-
I'm sorry?
So far, it's still there at Plumtree Park.
Oh, okay.
It's a park I take my grandkids to. all the
That's
time,
good.
so.
Did you have some?
Yeah, I thought our town administrator, Mr. Hopkins, said that there's some kind of because of the electricity, there's some kind of an alarm or something on those AEDs, that once they're opened, we get a notification?
I would
The-
assume so.
yeah.
But if you'd like to know, we'll have Eddie get you some, or something like that he was talking
Yeah,
about.
I
We
can-
talked about these a while back.
I'm sure they're not cheap, so.
No, yeah,
I
I'd
can,
like to keep them around for the purposes of.
at least a year or two, right?
I
tell you what,
I was
what
more
I'll-
concerned that somebody would take it and be mischievous with it, and actually hurt somebody or kill somebody.
Let's see what happens.
well, I tell you what, I will follow up with Public Works and with our town administrator and send you back an email, let you know how that's working. Anything else on this page? Burns Alley's on there. The improvements to Burns Alley are being reduced back to be more aesthetic, and that a layout will be shown to the town board as part of the budget process.
So when it says it hasn't been able to be continued because of the cost of the project?
Yeah, the cost was difficult for folks to come to terms with.
Well, maybe when we get this tax revenue from Hickory Flats, we can do more.
Never know. Under land use, we've, obviously, under comprehensive planning, we're dealing with the processes that were associated with the comprehensive plan and the comprehensive rezoning. You probably won't see this next year in the annual report. It's kind of cleaning up from 2024.
Yeah.
So,
Kevin, there's a typo on page 6.
page 6?
At the top, it says, the last full sentence, are provided in the following pages along with Bel Air Board of Town Commission. I think it's supposed to be commissioners. Planning related activity. Commissioners.
Commissioners, yes. Thank you.
And Kevin, since this is an annual report of the Planning Commission, under that comprehensive planning, the way I read it now, it's almost like the petition came about because of the result of the Planning Commission's decisions. I mean, that's the way I read it. And I think I've written down here, the town board adopted all but one of the Planning Commission's recommendations, with that one application resulting in a petition for referendum, which was subsequently declared invalid. That was on the town board of commissioners. That's why this whole thing started. And if you recall also, I don't know how many applications there were, but we reviewed each one, considered each one independently, separately.
Yeah.
And when the town board voted to approve these, they had one vote for all of them. And it was that one property on, that the Kleins wanted rezoned that we said no to, that started this whole revolution,
Right.
if you will.
You are correct.
So I don't know how we write it.
I've got something written down here to see if you are okay with it. The town board adopted all but one of the planning commission recommendations for rezoning on May 2nd, 2022. If you want, I can put in the address of the one that was not recommended, but
No, I don't-
would, yeah, comma.
You think that's
whatever-
important, Phil?
Whatever number of Broadway.
Okay.
That's exactly how I remember it.
All right. But, you know, I've, over the last year or so, spoken to a number of people occasionally about this, and everybody kind of looks at that one particular property as not being rezoned. I mean, as being rezoned and not, you know, maintained as the culprit in this whole thing.
right.
So I think
No,
it
I
should
agree.
be
I agree.
explained in here.
I'll revise that to include the address too.
Okay.
What did that cost the town?
Final attorney's fees and costs incurred to the town was approximately $82,000. That was from the beginning when they filed the lawsuit all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Okay?
Yep, thank you.
Yep, I will make those changes. Under development regulations, several ordinances were passed. One regarding open space and recreation and how that relates to fee and lieu. So, and that, for the most part, followed your recommendations, if I recall. So it basically is limiting developers' ability to pay fee and lieu depending on what their zoning is. So that was done. Then, let's see. There were a couple of ordinances that were started in 2024, and what I'll do is, when we start to look at 2025, I'll show what happened to those ordinances, because those died, and then the new ones were introduced and subsequently approved. let's see. Regarding the Homestead Wakefield, the town did purchase a property that will eventually become a emergency access for the campus and from the campus. And that was approved and, Liz, I don't think that has been recorded, but it's within weeks of being recorded. This is Homestead, yeah,
Should have gone over either today or tomorrow.
yeah.
Now, can they open the school, is it anything like that they have to have an approval that is actually completed before they can start using the school itself?
No, the school would open, and right now they have a connection to the parking lot shown, and then this connection will happen eventually once they have money to build it. So there is a connection to the parking lot of the McFall Activity Center, but that connection, I think we're looking at it, the town's looking at it as being temporary.
So if it needed to be used, there is a way.
There is a way for people to access out to Atwood Road. They just have to go through a parking lot, which is not exactly safe or easy to maneuver, but temporarily that's a satisfactory solution.
And there's no set time that has to be completed.
There's no set time.
And then whose
they?
responsibility is to complete that road, then ours or the school?
The
board?
county.
County.
Yeah. The county has to agree to it, and the Board of Education has to, according to the agreement, is to fund that.
So that could just sit in limbo forever.
It could. Yeah.
No, that's very disappointing because that was part of the approval agreement.
It is. But we do have the mechanism to do so if we wanted to fund it, but it is a sizable amount. For the development activity, you can kind of see some of the results of various developments. One is subdividing 5 lots behind the Bel Air United Methodist Church. Site plan for Chick-fil-A, which is basically done now. They doubled up their drive-through. Z-Vault looked at making their outdoor dining permanent, and I think they even came in, and the consultant was not prepared. And I think you sent him back, and he never came back.
Right.
Standard on bond has been approved and is under construction right now.
Kevin, did they get the Board of Appeals case through in 2024, or was that 2023?
I think it was 2023. It was
Okay, I
previous.
remember.
Yeah. There was a couple of small projects, an accessory dwelling unit on Hall Street came in, he again presented to you, you guys said we need more information. He then said, I'll come back, and he never came back. I've driven by there a few times, I haven't seen any evidence of occupation, but anyway. Another one was submitted and withdrawn at 314 East Broadway for an accessory dwelling unit. And then Standard on Bond also submitted a revision to try to add more commercial space, and they then withdrew it. And then Board of Appeals, relatively light.
Kevin, on these projects, when was the one on Tollgate Road where the fellow was going to build a storage facility?
The annexation,
Yes.
yes.
What's going on there?
That annexation was approved.
I know it was.
And and we've had various folks come in to talk about what they can do there, but no one's ever followed up with a project.
Well, I thought we annexed that because he was going to put something on there. He came in, and
Mm-hmm.
so if he withdrew, then why don't we withdraw the annexation? I don't.
Well, one of the things that in the state of Maryland, well, you can put conditions on an annexation. So one of the conditions was it couldn't be residential. And, but he can build any other kind of commercial use that he wants to, based on those conditions of annexation. So it's annexed into the town, and I would assume that at some point it will have something constructed on it that would not be residential. And that's where he's sitting right now. He's in the town.
Right.
Yeah, we can't unannex him.
Well, no, we annexed it because he said he was gonna put a storage
Right.
facility there and blah, 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 and,
Yeah.
okay.
So they don't have to, their timeline is on
Hmm.
them and not on us.
And that's the only satellite property in town now, right?
One that doesn't have an annex, is not contiguous
Contiguous,
with the
right.
town because it's
Right.
bifurcated by the
Right.
tollgate road. We had gone down the road to, annex the actual road, but we haven't been successful because that road's owned by the county and they have not yet cooperated with that.
All right.
The other projects for the Board of Appeals are variances for building height, deck, construction, and, that's it. There wasn't too many in front of the Board of Appeals. Historic Preservation Commission had several projects, a lot of them along Broadway, also along, Main Street and Webster Street.
Can I ask you, the kids who did the drawings or whatever, the submissions, how did they turn out? What buildings did they, first, second, and
I
third?
can't remember because that goes back to last May,
Okay.
but I don't recall who ended up winning. So it was, but they're coming back this May, so we go through the same process. We always are trying to get Bel Air Elementary School to participate, but they haven't done so yet. We do have St. Margaret's, Hartford Day School, and Homestead Wakefield. It is nice, though, that we have done more activities to bolster our certified local government status. That is a status that allows us to get grants for training, grants for preservation, grants for research for historic preservation.
Did you go, the pedestrian plan, remember when everyone met and
Mhm.
talked about those? Are they going to continue to do more? I think about the one at the courthouse. It's not hardly at all marked, and some people stop, many don't. Do you know what I'm talking about, right down from the light?
The old post office?
No, on Bond Street,
Mm-hmm.
where they want to cross over from, like, from the Vagabond Street, yeah, Thomas Street.
At Thomas and Bond?
Well, it's not even at Thomas, it's up a little bit by the old,
Is it near Alice Ann?
no, it's, no,
Remember which one?
it's up
No.
by,
What's the,
the guy that had the insurance company was in that building, I think it was.
Oh,
We're talking about Thomas and Bond, if you make the
Cares,
right
yeah.
turn and the left up
Across
on
from
the office.
Yeah.
Or no,
Oh,
it's
oh,
Or
okay.
Cortland, I'm sorry, not office, Cortland.
Yeah, there are
that what
several
you're talking about,
designated
Lois?
properties on there. I do know one thing that we are going through the process of doing, and this will happen in about a week. Working with a Eagle Scout to put plaques on all the historically designated properties that don't have them. So, we're hoping to get most of those in and attached, so everybody will know when they walk through the door of that of whatever structure, most of them are residential, that they will be, that they are historically designated.
When
Well, that-
someone buys a place with such designation and no marker, or how do they know that they're buying?
They don't.
Because we have one
We've
right
worked
now.
on that.
Yes, we have.
We have one changing hands right now
Oh, God,
Really?
on Gordon Street.
It may be one that is targeted to have a plaque.
I think that, I'm told the people are moving in the end of the month.
That's a little too late.
Which house is that, Bill?
Bernie Gimmel's house, Gordon and Richardson Street,
Oh, right there. Okay. Oh, I know, the little.
right on the corner.
yeah,
I'm pretty
that's
sure
right,
he
it just sold,
got
right.
the
Is that-
designation. It wasn't just on the inventory. I think
Right,
he-
is that Virginia Sowers?
I don't know who the
I know we
original
have
was.
we sent out letters about a month and a half ago to all the people who had historically designated properties, but did not have plaques. And we wanted to make sure that their plaque wasn't sitting in their, desk drawer somewhere.
I didn't get one.
So, we,
There you go.
huh?
I said I didn't get a letter or anything.
Well, because you have a plaque.
Oh, I do?
I think so.
Yeah, and your name's not even on
Is
it.
it
Pete.
from- is your
You've lived there longer
Is it
than
really?
anybody.
Okay.
So so we did that and we got some responses and some people who are, well, I
Yeah, I'm
think
77
Gemmel was one of
years
them,
old.
who said, yes, I want you to
That's
put the
my
plaque
fault.
on
It's
and
my
I give you
excuse.
permission. And I think they live somewhere else though.
Well, you'll have to do this.
Okay. So another letter went out today saying the 22nd of March is the day that the Boy Scout will be out there. I'm hoping that people are going to be there to allow him to mount all this stuff. I'm sure there are going to be people that won't be, but we're going to try to make as big a dent as we possibly can.
Is this for his Eagle Scout project?
Eagle Scout. Yeah.
Now, going back to this pedestrian crossing, it's hardly even visible. And people are, honestly, I've seen people, one car will stop here, but the other lane won't, and it's really,
They have 3 lanes, three, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like the one up there by the courthouse at Office Street where.
You're talking about at Cortland and Thomas where Bond goes through,
Yeah.
right? Where that crossing is.
Well, there was a woman killed there a few years
Yes.
ago.
We
One lane stopped for her and the other didn't, and
Yeah.
she was pedestrian, yeah.
we reached out to the State Highway Administration, and that's one of the areas that's in our Safe Streets for All study. We had talked to State Highway many years ago about putting an island in the middle lane. But the problem was that the trucks, garbage trucks, emergency vehicles and everything couldn't make that turn. So we're still kind of studying other ways to make that safer, but you're exactly right. That crossing is, and there's a lot of crossings that we kind of complained about at the State Highway that have been improved, like at Gordon, but
Mhm.
that one has not been.
Well,
What
and
about like just some rumble strips, like prior to Thomas Street?
Rumble strips tend to get lots of complaints, because if you're somebody who lives nearby, you don't want to hear the rumble strips.
But for the most part, it's all commercial there.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't have to be,
that
Right.
one is compounded by the fact if you're a pedestrian making that cross, if you come up from the Vagabond, no, I'm sorry, if you're coming maybe the other way, the cars will stop at that stop sign. If they're coming from the Vagabond, they'll look to the left because that's where the traffic's coming from and not necessarily into the
Mhm.
pedestrian walk that's right there.
right.
That's the problem. And
Almost be better just to do away with it, or,
Yeah, I think it either should be, it's kind of halfway in between. It should either be at Thomas or or be at Cortland. But we've talked to State Highway about it several times. It's not high on their priority
if
list.
somebody else has to die first there.
I wish I hate to
Hmm.
say this, I wish we'd have jumped on it right after that woman was killed, because I think we would have gotten a little bit more attention. But
Shame.
you've got the other one right there at Office and Bond, but people don't
Yeah.
tend to walk that block to get across there. That's,
Yeah.
Well, and they have a stoplight
there you
there.
get the light. That one, that's the one I try to use.
That's one of the reasons the State Highway tells us that crossing is okay, because the stoplight at Office tends to stop all the cars, and so there's a gap.
But it
That
doesn't,
allows
it doesn't
for-
stop the ones coming up Thomas Street and looking to the left and
Right.
turning right.
Mm.
when-
Yeah, who are turning
that's-
into that,
That's,
yes.
that's the worst of it, right
Right.
there.
No, I completely agree. So that's something we can redouble our efforts. We just got finished doing the bicycle pedestrian plan, and that is one of the locations that we're looking at to talk with State Highway.
Just back is that it on that particular, just back on the new Homestead School, we have acquired the land that road would potentially be built on, that's?
Yes.
Okay, So in other words, if just in theory, if some other school was redeveloped over there, then completing that road could be a condition of,
It could be. We
of
can give it another try.
doing that. You know,
Yeah.
well, that's right, depending on how the,
Yeah, I mean, I
Planning Commission
anticipate
and the
the
town fathers
Bel Air
will
Middle
have to
will
come.
have to be renovated at some point, so it gives us
or
another,
replaced,
yeah.
or something.
I think one of the things that's easier for Board of Ed, if they can plan for it and they know it's coming,
To build it right
they
into
can,
the
they can
place.
build it into their plan.
Yeah.
So that's.
So
a
that's,
little
that's
easier.
when you'll get that road done, if the planning commission and the town board elects to say, well, that's a condition of the new
Right.
thing there, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else? Community facilities, there is a Giles to Ewing pathway that was constructed. The bicycle pedestrian plan was just approved a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, actually. And so that'll be on the town website for everybody to review, and we'll have copies sent out, and everybody on this commission will get a copy. Rockfield Memorial Tree Grove is the new tree grove because Shamrock is full. So we have, actually, the first tree was planted a couple of weeks ago. So that will, it has capacity for about another 20, 25 trees to go in that one.
Nice.
Water and sewer is basically the same as before. Farmers markets, doing well. In fact, they're expanding. They're looking at doing more markets through the winter. And so that'll help them out a little bit. Sustainability, a lot of this stuff I think you've seen before, the 50% rebates for rain barrels, the local community garden, green purchasing, a lot of these are still there. We're now under SMC, which stands for Sustainable Maryland Certified, we're silver now.
How would we be able to move to gold?
It's going to be tough for us to do that. I think a lot of different municipalities have to be a little bit larger than us. Rockville, Gaithersburg, Annapolis, they have a little bit more resources than we do. But we can try.
I think it states in there about the maintaining the vitality of the local economy, and I think Hickory Flats and Standard on Bond will really make a big difference.
It'll make the downtown busier, yeah.
Absolutely. Hopefully fill some of those empty spaces.
Economic development, this is kind of a synopsis of what the activity's been going on with Bel Air for that.
Can I ask something else? The Monpau Trail, when is that next addition, the connection? When is that
I
proposed?
just talked to the county a few days ago. They're looking at completing all of the sections about this time next year.
Nice.
So there's quite a bit of delay because they're going through wetlands, and there's certain times of the year that you're restricted to construction. We actually do have another Boy Scout doing their Eco Project, where they're going to be putting in medallions along the Monpau Trail to help direct people to the right location and make them turn in the right place, mostly when the trail goes onto sidewalks. And I just connected that Boy Scout with the county so that he could do some other locations in the county. So
How are they going to do it around the detention center? Do you have
it's
any idea?
mostly on Boardwalk.
That's the wet part.
Yeah.
And the good news is there's an existing tunnel underneath the bypass. That's
Oh,
when this all first started. I
Yeah.
thought, well, how are you gonna? No, it's
I didn't.
already
Somebody
there.
was forward thinking, so that was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
good.
It is a little scary walking through that tunnel. I've done it when I did a walkthrough with the county.
Oh, and it mentions supporting a local community garden. Has anything been done with that, and where would that go?
There's an existing one that was done several years ago by St. Matthews.
Oh.
They have
okay.
about 70 or 80 plots, and they do a great job. they don't need my help at all, even though I offer it every year, you know, but.
Yeah, the
they-
Lions Club is involved in that. We send people over, and a lot of young people have helped out with that. It's been good.
Nice.
And then food goes to people that need it, I think.
I think a lot of it does, yeah.
Yeah.
Very creative. I'll go to 13. Some of the future activities we're looking at, and again, this is this is dependent upon approval at the budget stage. Alice Ann Park really is the last opportunity to put in a exercise cluster or a fitness station. And so we're looking to install something similar to that in Alice Ann. And then Burns Alley, I think we talked about that. It's going to be something that's going to be more of a beautification project along Burns Alley, adding sidewalks, landscape, whatnot. Uh-huh.
At the bottom, it says, the effort will be in partnership with the Bel Air Down Alliance. I think it's supposed to be downtown.
Downtown Alliance, thank you.
No problem.
And it says that there'll be senior-focused exercise equipment.
Yes.
How did that come up? Or,
Yeah, right now, what he's got, the consultant who we're working with, he has it being focused to adults and seniors. No, it's not focused on kids, because there's a playground right there. So,
oh, interesting.
so yeah, and one of the things that we're talking to, Upper Chesapeake Medical Center has an obligation to complete a public amenity that they haven't fulfilled yet. And we've been talking to them about putting in another exercise station there. We'd love to see a circuit that people would be able to jog and whatnot. But at least we'd be able to keep some of these fitness stations in places where they're needed.
I have a question about the whenever, like attending the town board meetings, commissioners meeting, and we have the employee taking pictures and so forth for publicity, I would assume, but where does that go? Is anything
Most of the
ever
time it goes on
published?
Facebook, I think.
Oh, see, I don't get on Facebook.
yeah.
I don't get on Facebook. Okay, thank you.
Does he put them on the website?
Yeah,
Do they?
yeah. I've seen those, yes.
Okay.
And if you have, one of the things is if you have notifications, you can go on the town website and you can say, I want to be notified for a whole list of different things.
Oh.
And
Okay.
if any of that kind of stuff, you can click on to get a little email.
Good.
The rest is appendices. One has a activity map, shows where all the different properties in town have developed.
Don't give up on that. I know the short term and I know the rationale, but that Burns Alley thing down the road at some future time, there's a good opportunity to do something there.
I think that once the other big landowner there is the county, and they need to kind of agree that this is an important project. And so I'm not sure they're there yet.
Yeah.
Also
our-
under,
I would just say on the Burns Alley, in our budget discussions last year, that was the thing that we wanted to try to get it together so we have a cohesive project between the county and the town. So until the county can commit some funds, that's what we were trying
No, I
to
think-
do, is have it done together.
I know I've talked to at least one Main Street merchant who had concerns about parking and all that, and I get that, but just
Correct.
as far as, at some point, that's just a great opportunity there to develop something there.
I mean, certainly one of the things we try to do is to find areas that need some attention. And whatever we can do with those areas to create opportunities and improve the aesthetics, that's what we try to do.
Because the county suggested doing something with the old Highs and Palms Pizza, Bel Air Liquors, across from the firehouse, and that would dovetail into the Burns Alley, something that could potentially be used for First Fridays and things of that nature,
Yep.
instead of using a parking lot. So we were saying, okay, it sounds like a good idea, but until we get it, see something on paper, and what they're going to do, but we got to plan it together if we're going to do
Mhm.
something like that. So
Potentially that
that was
could-
the concept,
That could be the anchor, whereas the armory is the other end of the
is the
anchor.
other anchor,
Mhm.
correct. And then you'll have right.
I think there's a lot of potential there.
Good.
In Appendix B is basically all of the goals and objectives that were outlined in the comprehensive plan and where they are in the process. This is relatively young plan, so there's a lot of ones that are kind of yellow, colored in yellow, which means they've been started but not really completed. So I'll leave that up to you to peruse through. I don't know if anybody find any typos, but I'm sure there are some.
I know, I don't know why I did this, but the planning commission, or the planning department, excuse me, is involved in 103 of these 183, which means 56%.
Yes.
So are there any that, have disappointed you that you wish?
Well, one of the
Get
things that was
started.
kind of low-hanging fruit was making adjustments to the development regulations so that they were consistent with the comprehensive plan. If there's anything that certainly I would like to see become more significant is traffic. And that's like, everybody has problems with traffic. There's just tons of it. I think a lot of folks look at traffic and the problems associated with it as a result of development, and that's not necessarily so, because the town of Bel Air is at a hub of all of the roads in Hartford, or not, a lot of the roads in Hartford County. And one of the things
Mhm.
that happens there is development that would be north and west of Bel Air affects our roads. And if you were to look at the number of permits, we had one single-family
Yeah,
permit
whoa.
and two use and occupations for a single family. We're not really adding to those roads. If you were to flatten out the curve for various projects over town, I mean, there's not too many that the town produces. It's mostly projects, such as the development up in Hickory. That
Mhm.
produces a lot of cars.
Mhm.
Anyway, we kind of, our hands are a little bit tied with that. But I would love to see some of the stuff in the Safe Streets for All study be reviewed. That is all I have as far as the annual report. If there's any other changes you would like to see or clarifications, I am.
Kevin, I'm sorry, go ahead, Don.
I have just one question. It's under maintain strong cultural, informational, government resources for the town residents. Emphasize the use of the Bel Air High School auditorium for town events and productions. I thought, didn't we pay to enlarge the?
Yes,
So-
you did. I don't know how much, I think it was $1 million.
So why isn't, why, instead of emphasizing whatever we?
Well, we are using it, but it's,
wasn't-
several years ago, it was much more difficult than it is now. I think
Well,
they've
I
kind of,
think because of COVID
yeah.
and
So,
all that sort of school security type situation.
And we're always kind of second banana to any school activity.
Okay.
But, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's an investment that we need to take more advantage of.
Something I can't put my fingers on, but I know I read in here is that the planning commission may or may not be doing a review of the comprehensive plan in 2027, but definitely would do it in 2032. Is that?
You definitely do it in 2032. It's your choice as to whether or not you want to do a comprehensive plan review. There is a requirement that you have to review the comp plan, review what potential changes there might be, and then report to the state any action that you might take.
I don't know how many of us will still be here in 2027, but I would encourage that review to be done.
It
That'll be a-
usually is.
That'd be a good opportunity for some collaboration between the town board and the planning commission to start sticking out, well, here's what you want to have going forward
Right, and
in that plan.
one of the things that typically happens is you'll incorporate all of the studies that have been performed since '22 into the '27 plan. So Safe Streets for All would be incorporated, the new bicycle pedestrian plan would be incorporated, there's several others that are out there. Also, one of the things that happened in '22, we scheduled it for '22 because we thought the census would be done and complete, and it wasn't.
Is that due to COVID?
Due to
also?
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, we delayed it a full year at least.
Yep.
And so that might be an update to the plan that would likely be great. And that's something I would report back out to you at that time to make sure that you're okay with either taking action or not taking action.
Do we get the data, I heard on radio this morning, various jurisdictions that added or didn't add population in the last year since the census, and even the makeup of that? Do we get that from?
We have access to it, yes.
That'd be interesting to see.
Yes.
We know that Baltimore City, I think, for example, added population in 2024. That triggered a whole conversation about who they were. The fact is that they did.
Some of the things that will happen this year that are not in this plan, but certainly will be, is we're going to do a traffic study of Howard Park to try to figure out where people are going, because there's cut-through traffic in Howard Park. And we just don't know, and we need an expert to tell us how to correct it. So that's one of the studies that we have on our list.
It's going to change with this, when this Thomas Street gets done. People are already avoiding Thomas Street, and that puts them on other streets. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So the area on Thomas Street that isn't finished yet, inside the curve, is that gonna be all grass, or is that going, what's
If-
the type of material is gonna be?
Concrete.
Everything between the curbs is going to be asphalt. There is a pathway that is going to be pervious pavers that will be between Kelly and and go through the Plumtree Park. And that will be what is commonly referred to as a shared use path. So bicycles can be on it and pedestrians can be on it, because it'll be 8 feet wide.
So when it gets all, so when Thomas gets all the way to the end, I can't think of its name of the street,
Kelly.
is it Kelly all the way down? So Kelly, I mean, cause I saw the other day, a bus was trying to maneuver there. and
What we're going to,
The way they cut that curve, they should have,
it's going to get cut more.
is it?
That one and another location at Archer will have some corrections done.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
somebody
This is
hasn't
why
already
people
taken
are
it out for you.
Yeah.
Driving alternative.
Out in the field,
routes.
sometimes
for
we
one.
see problems that occur that you don't see when the consultant
I mean, if
finishes the
If
plan.
there's nobody coming out, the bus didn't have a problem.
Right.
And it's not even just buses, it's just cars.
Yeah.
In today's world, a car is a truck, and for them to, if you're on Thomas Street and want to go left on South Kelly, like if you're going to the mall,
Right.
which is, there's your cut-through thing, that's what people have done for the last 50 years. That maneuver is hard to do if somebody's turning right. You can't do that at the same time anymore.
Well, in
Another-
some sense, that's intentional, but we also don't want to create accidents either.
People have asked me why they're doing this. I said, well, slow traffic down, and it's working, but it's also diverting them to other streets. And I don't know that this is directly related to this, but another place there's increased cars is picture on Gordon Street, and we just talked about the historic house there at Gordon and Richardson. People, when they're coming across Gordon, they're turning left onto Richardson to go to Broadway now. They're not going up to Williams anymore and getting the stop sign and turning left. They're slithering through there, and I think
They're-
they don't have the stop sign there, and they barely stop once they get to Richardson and Broadway. And of course, on Richardson Street, there are no sidewalks and there is parking. So from a pedestrian standpoint, sometimes, one of which is me, that's just different. And I don't know what changed that piece so much, other than when we added that very nice new home on Gordon in the last year or so. It was always, a lot normal construction vehicles out there, and people suddenly just sort of, I'm just gonna divert over to Richardson, and now they keep doing it, and in increasing numbers.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping that we actually intentionally delayed our study of Howard Park because we wanted to include a finished Thomas
Yep,
Street.
Absolutely.
And to understand what that means with regard to traffic and how we can address it. Because those kind of, I'm hoping that, we're studying a total of like 18 intersections in that little area. And those will all get numbers, and we're hoping that our consultant will be able to give us recommendations on how to fix it. One of the problems with cut-through traffic is to solve the problem typically creates inconvenience on the residences. So it's,
Now, you've only got 4 houses on that Richardson Street.
yeah. So you're-
And there again, maybe a speed bump. The other thing with all of this is there are no sidewalks on that stretch of Gordon Street either.
right, now
Between Atwood and Williams.
that was pursued by the town, and we could not get the right-of-way for it from the residents.
So they have the right to just say, well, you're not gonna build sidewalks there.
Right.
then. Okay.
Well, we could pursue eminent domain, but I don't really want to head in that direction for obvious reasons.
And with this increase of traffic and with this encouragement of walkers, then these are,
Well, one of the things that Bel Air is, I won't say famous for, but it's certainly our strengths is our pedestrian connectivity. And we want to make sure that in places like Richardson and Gordon, that we provide that. So I don't think we're giving up, but it's,
there again, you got the same situation on Gordon as you do on Richardson, only more traffic, and because you got pedestrians and no sidewalks, and you got parking.
and you got people going to the Liriodendron,
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
so.
If they don't want sidewalks, we have to take the parking away.
Yeah.
That'd solve it.
Could be. One of the things there are a lot of things that slow down traffic. Parking is one of them. Landscape is one of them. Lane width is one, which is why Thomas looks the way it is. For years, we had regular complaints about Thomas Street with trucks and cars speeding.
Yep. That's right.
Now we're getting the opposite complaints.
Now they just don't use the street anymore.
Right.
We've succeeded.
Anyway, that's where we're at with that. If there's no more commissioner comments, there's
Need a,
opportunity for public comment.
Motion, I'm sorry, yes, we're in public.
Sir, would you like to speak?
I'm just listening in, this has been very interesting.
Oh, very good, okay. Did anyone see this article in the Aegis? Talked about the Bel Air officials approved the new laws mixing residential and retail downtown.
Did we want to approve the,
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
do I have a motion for approval of the annual report
so
As
moved?
revised.
as revised?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now,
Okay.
okay, this article that was in the Aegis, the only thing that disturbed me about it is that, where can I find it? He mentions the multifamily residential property, talking about Hickory Flats, with 100 apartments. Aren't there 79?
There's 87,
87?
yes.
Okay, I just didn't like the
It started out with
exaggeration.
101, and then they had to revise it down.
Okay,
So they came in once and then had to withdraw.
right, okay. I just didn't like the exaggeration, we have enough problems with that. Okay, so now
Um,
we're gonna do the project status
Project list.
report, please.
I think you've seen the Chabad along Broadway. They're moving
Yeah.
along. Hickory
Amazing
Flat.
how fast things can go when you don't have to do a foundation.
Right, yeah. It's basically all on slab, yeah. Hickory Flats, you can look out the door, see what's happening out there. Taco Bell has an approval, and they are, they're due to expire here soon in September. So they need to start moving, getting under construction. Wellwood Assisted Living is in the same situation. They were approved in October of 23, now they're approaching expiration.
Do you know what the holdup is for them?
State
I-
highway, last I
Huh?
heard. State highway, supposedly.
Well, State Highway has slowed them down, yes.
Supposedly state highway, when I last talked to them over there, they want them to put a light out there, and it's XL lane and a decel lane.
Yeah. I think that they should have talked to their neighbor a little bit more, because I knew that that was going to be a problem, because they're so close to the light.
Yep.
And their neighbor has an existing curb cut. So I don't know why they're putting him through so much. I mean, well, I do know why. That it's kind of a hazardous entrance and exit, but they haven't come back to visit us as far as changing their plan, so.
When they get close to the end, are they notified by the planning commission, just reminding them, planning department just reminding them?
We have no obligation to do that, because sometimes we just, it slips through, but we do try to remind them if we can. Raising Cane's demoed everything,
Yeah.
so they're getting ready to move along.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was about ready to give you a call the other day, because the weather was getting nicer. Like, I'm driving by Raising Cane, and I'm looking at the fencing that's all on the sidewalk, thinking like, it's one thing when the kids aren't walking around, but now the kids are gonna be walking around, they got all
We-
the outside fencing there. And as I'm driving to work that morning, I see it all knocked over into their thing, so somebody was thinking the same thing.
Well, we actually told them that they couldn't, that they had to maintain the sidewalk. So it should be fixed by now. I'll
Well, I
talk
mean,
to our
it's all
DPW.
down, it's just they have the little, sediment stuff on their property.
Right.
Like the big
Yeah,
high
they
fence.
can't force people out into the street, so.
Yeah, somebody cut their signs off, all laying down on the ground the day after they had put up.
Really,
They're zip tied, no, they're zip tied, there's no way they fell off or blew off.
hmm. I didn't realize that was a problem area, so.
Tough neighborhood.
Really?
Is that a tough neighborhood?
It's all the anti-chicken.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, maybe there's a,
No, it's the cow farmers, I'm sorry. It's the cattlemen.
we investigate Chick-fil-A, see if there's,
They have cameras up.
do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have at least 2 cameras up on poles.
Good.
Wow.
And the bank should have, so really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I did not realize, I didn't hear about those problems, so I'll talk to DPW about that.
Before the building came down, there were a couple of homeless that I saw there on a regular basis.
Let's see, Standard on Bond, of course, you've seen that, I think, if you've been driving down Bond Street. They're moving along fast.
Looks like the park will be the first piece.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I know, which is great. Normally, that's something is last,
Mhm.
because but they jumped on that quick, which is great. The residences of Hartford Mall have still not come in and gotten there. They're moving slow. I think in some ways they are kind of a victim of the complicated nature of all of the owners out there. Because Liz has been going through the process of trying to get development agreements and approval agreements and all of these, and there's a utility problem that they have to address. So there's definitely a lot of hurdles that they've been having to clear. Yes?
How about the meeting that happened recently about the 175,000 square feet of demo?
Yeah, I was gonna
What
say,
was
a
the
big-
outcome of that?
Lois and I attended, but maybe Kevin, is there something you'd like to
Sure.
share with the group about that?
They're proposing to, obviously, everybody knows Macy's is gone. They're proposing demo Macy's in a small portion of the actual mall itself, which I think is really limited to the corridor. And that will be replaced by a series of what I would call pad sites, and then a upscale organic grocer.
We got an upscale organic grocer on the other end. that has to build it.
Yeah, how'd that turn out?
Believe me, you're speaking to the choir on this one. I'm not real happy that they're trying to proceed along with phase 3 when they haven't finished phase 1.
I was frankly disappointed with the entire project. I can't understand why, and at least this is the way I envision it. They have all that parking, that's where most accidents occur, you know, with children or whatever. And then the areas all around it. And yet, when you look at the whole property there, the land that butts Bel Air Road and 24, they have all that open space there. If they could, I would love to see maybe a 2-car, 3-car parking area, and then take the center where they've got all that parking and turn that into a community gathering park. I mean, from what I've read with these malls just falling apart, people want to have a destination to go to.
Mhm.
They don't want additional stores. And again, you know, they want to put in another grocery when they haven't even filled the other grocery.
Yep.
And the area where Bonefish, there are at least three unoccupied businesses right there. It just doesn't make any sense to me. They have an opportunity to really do something for the community, and it's just turning into a commercial
So,
stores again.
let me ask this question. The mall sold the Sears property to, the mall sold the Sears property to the developer. He came before us and said, because it's not the mall, I mean, it's part of the mall, but it's not the mall owners.
It's not the same owners, but the way that the
Well, I
town looks at,
understand.
yeah.
They're
in the same boat.
They're right, everybody's in the same boat. But my point being is, the people that developed the Sears property are not the mall. So is it the mall that's looking to do the same thing on the other end, or are they looking to the mall,
The developers
to be
of,
the developer?
the developers of Shops at Hartford Mall, which was phase 1, where the original grocery store that's still sitting empty is located, are the same developers that are proposing phase 3, which is the
Tearing
one
down.
that you looked at the concept
And
meeting.
they were questioned on all this at that meeting, and it was the same guy who was very comfortable with this idea that the lead store is gonna be another grocery store, you know, and it gets back to what's the role of government, and maybe not to tell them that you already have enough grocery stores. We had the same logic when Raising Cane came, and in their wisdom, that, well, even though there's plenty of chicken in the neighborhood, they think they can make some money.
Well, I
And,
guess, I mean, the only thing that I look at is an empty building's an empty building, so why tear down Macy's if it's gonna be empty and build another empty building?
Well, they're not.
Other than it's, may look nicer. and
They're
newer.
quite sure that, that phase 1, that will be occupied, and I got the sense coming out of there that, the occupant is paying them right now.
They are.
Oh,
So it's
that's
not
my
like it's
impression.
any financial hardship. It's not worked out the way they had hoped as far as these other businesses in peripheral, but they said that all those other places are doing fine, and the owner, the occupant of the grocery is as we know, a very large, successful company, and this is just a fingernail on the body to them. This is not like a big deal that, well, we're not getting any return on our investment there. They're taking their time, and they have a couple of different models, and that's the way it was presented to us.
So Phil, we've been doing a lot of work on all these different phases with all the lawyers, and there's like 4 lawyers involved. We're having a meeting like once every 2 weeks to stay on top of this. So the issue of phase 1 came up because Kevin and I agree that this is going to get very, very complicated if we allow phase 3 to go through at Mach speed when they haven't even gotten a building permit for 2, haven't wrapped up 1. So one of the things I wanted to see, because I wasn't really around when y'all approved phase 1, there's nothing wrong with it. I just wasn't familiar enough with it. And we're working on sewer utility easements that should have gotten to the town that are on the phase 1 area. And I had an occasion to contact Chrissy Mullaney because I was reviewing a particular declaration they had put on the property, the owners did. So Chrissy tells me that they got a final UNO for what I would call the shell building, so the whole full building. She told me that the Amazon Fresh filed for a building permit, never pursued it, and it's been expired for over 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have not done the build out at all. So, part of me was kind of like saying to the lawyer, well, phase 1's not done. Your traffic's not done. Your architectural columns on the side of the building aren't done. And you haven't approved these agreements that we've drafted 6 months ago, easy, and where's my grocery store? So, it was kind of like, why are we doing, got this in Mach speed for phase 3 to put a grocery store on the other side of the mall when you haven't even got a valid building
Well, and
permit for the
there's-
one?
I think we learned, got reinforced at the meeting, that there's parts of phase 1, aside from the structures themselves, that haven't been completed.
Correct.
Improvements at Gateway Drive in Bolton and
Yes.
at Route 1
Tollgate.
and
Tollgate.
Tollgate.
Yeah.
So, and I do remember we certainly, at their request, we fast-tracked phase 1, and I would encourage this body and staff to move slower on phase 3. And that point was made at the concept meeting.
Yeah, that's what Kevin told me.
Nice to see something get done on phase 1 and phase 2, as far as I'm concerned. And we also, if you remember, when we did phase 1, at that time, or maybe, no, I'm sorry, when we did phase 2, we asked for a grand plan for what are you going to do with all of this, and we still haven't seen that.
Yeah,
And that was raised at the concept meeting. They had their reasoning for why that's difficult for them to do with the innards of the mall is the
Sure.
problem. But notwithstanding that, we're on record a couple of years ago now to say, well, we want a grand plan.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they did provide one with the residences, but it was, as I've told them, it was something that was probably done over the weekend. There was no thought in it. And it was eye candy. And that's something that I think we're going to expect with this phase, is that they have to provide a real plan, and they have to explain it.
Yeah,
One of the things that irritated me at the concept committee meeting was the presentation was about 30 seconds long.
Yeah. She was
And-
yeah, I heard that.
And I'm like, one, if you didn't consider this a serious project, it's showing.
Yes.
So we've tried to make it very clear to them that we are, problem is you want to make something clear to them so that they're forewarned, but when they just don't pay attention to you, and then this upscale organic grocer ends up
Quote,
walking,
unquote.
that's, we want that. We want that upscale organic grocer, but we also want to make sure that they adhere to the process and that they're not years behind in their
Yeah.
improvements.
Correct.
The best news that came out of the concept meeting was that, at least at this time, they're presenting a commercial establishment, and they didn't come in with wanting another 800 apartments on the site, so.
I think we
That's-
told them that wasn't.
I think we've told them, like, you better think twice before you come in here with that. So,
Yeah, but based on our approval for the apartments, part of the approval was that they kept, I can't remember the percentage of retail
Retail.
space in the
50.
malls, 50%. So, and I have no idea how big Macy's is, but if they tear it down and they build parking, I mean, they have to, in essence, make enough square footage between the parking pads and whatever the store is to equal Macy's and whatever
Yes.
else they tear down, so,
Yes.
because that was,
Well, and then the big question mark about what's the ultimate use of the innards of the mall?
Mhm.
How does that
Mhm.
get resolved at some point by them? That's-
Right, and that's the one thing I can say is that interior malls just don't work anymore. That nobody wants to locate in them. So what do you do with that? There's a lot of very smart people out there that they could figure out how to market this project. I think they do want this upscale grocer to locate so that then it opens up this market for other development to come in, other establishments, restaurants, retail, to come in and locate. So, but that's all based on their word.
And it also disappoints me that, as far as I'm concerned, Bel Air needs a B&B or a hostess, something for people who want to come here. I hear a complaint all the time. There's a wedding there, and they have to go to Aberdeen or Route 40. And it also disturbs me that therefore, in our neighborhood, we have two RBOs or VRBOs, and they've both been shut down. And this was something that had gone on for years, and they had regular people coming there, didn't disturb anyone. And they're denied, so people who want to stay in town have no place to go. I just, am disappointed with that.
I know that we have pushed, this goes back to when Trish Heidenreich was here.
Mhm.
We were pushing a little boutique hotel or a B&B, and nobody took it. I think that for some reason we're too far away from 95. I'm not really sure what the,
has historically been the key.
Really.
This goes back way even before Trish, when we annexed the ground where the hospital is. We knew we wanted a hospital. We had no idea how vast it would need to be, so this actually worked out pretty well. But Carol Dybel worked long and hard to try to get the kind of hotel you're talking about to come on that site.
Really.
Nope, you're too far from 95.
Right.
That was the key. And in today's world, there again, I'm a great believer in the capitalist system. If somebody thought that a hotel of whatever size would be economically viable at the mall or anywhere else, they'd be building one to make money. Whether we think we need one because we talked to somebody who's had family in town. I know, as far as offices, of which I worked at one, I don't think they get a lot of the same number of visitors that we used to get that might even be interested in a thing like that. It would come up every now and then, and they would go to White Marsh or Baltimore to stay overnight. They weren't going to Aberdeen or any of those. So, but I don't know if you have enough. If you had enough to sustain it, somebody would show up with their money just like they did with more chicken.
Okay, right.
That's how it works.
we eat chicken.
Yeah.
I was
We are
hoping
what
for
we
a
do.
sports venue to go in there of some kind.
I will tell you that next month you'll be reviewing and I don't know if this is something you want to see, an amusement center, which is basically a trampoline park.
Oh,
It is proposed to go into the retail space of Pet Boys. Pet Boys will stay there, their service bays will stay there, but the retail space, I guess, just has not been making money. They're right down the street from AutoZone.
they
So.
shut it down.
Yes, it's empty.
It's been shut down.
It's been shut down for like a year or something.
Right. So that's what you'll see next month is a trampoline park proposal.
interesting.
Got tall ceilings, so it should be
Yeah, hopefully you don't hit your head. Yeah.
What about, what are they doing with Pioneer Cleaners? They've removed the siding But now
Oh.
there's just the wood there. that
Across from IBC?
Uh-huh.
They have a grant to tear down those two buildings. The property owner is moving slowly. And we're hoping that they'll complete this because IBC needs to address some things that they have a need for. And taking out those two buildings would provide parking for what they want to expand. I can't tell you I don't know any more than that. But we would like to see those two buildings removed because those are hazards.
Oh, they are, yeah. And the parking lot that they were supposed to, I thought, bring up to standard, nothing has ever been done with that.
Nothing has been done. They're still operating under the allowances provided through COVID. When COVID came in 2020, they were able to expand without acquiring all of the as a temporary parking area. Well, temporary parking areas are just that. They're temporary. They eventually have to be made permanent, which means stormwater management, needs lighting, needs landscape, all the things that a normal parking lot would need. But they just threw down some gravel and said, park here. And that was fine with us because that was COVID and we needed the space. But it's not necessarily the case anymore. But we don't want IBC to go out of town. We'd like to have them stay.
Not the best, but it provided the parking.
Right.
It took the parking.
But if they were to
pressure
park
off the neighborhood.
across Main, that provides their parking. That other property can be returned to its previous condition, and they're good to go.
And you talk about things I know, I don't want to sound dismissive, but you mentioned these things about public amenities where people would go and enjoy themselves.
Mhm.
Well, for somebody who owns the properties, this is, well, how do I make any money doing that? Well, here's how. You
Right.
open a brewery, and then people come,
Mm.
and that's if you go up there on a Saturday afternoon in the dead of winter, that's where people are. They bring their kids and their dogs, and they have a good time there, and
I will say, I think
and
somebody
he's
mentioned.
probably not going broke having it.
Mhm.
Somebody mentioned Macy's and that you have this perfectly good building and no one's utilizing it. I'm originally from Kansas City. Kansas City has a concept called chicken and pickle. It's basically chicken, which I know we don't need, and pickleball. And they
Oh.
have it inside.
Mhm.
And then there's other things, Topgolf. There's all of these, what I would call attractions that bring people in, and then they can walk around and do other things and shop and eat.
Mhm.
And that's what I
make
think the
money.
Hartford Mall lacks.
There's a profit motive there and an idea, but this is how you get people, that's the only way you're gonna get people back to the mall. You're exactly right. Make it a destination, but
Mhm.
then that needs to include something that they can make, somebody makes money.
Right.
Or else it doesn't happen.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Right.
otherwise, it's a big church.
Mhm.
All right.
All
That's
right.
all I have.
I just have two other comments. I'm not sure everybody knows, but Phil was given the Tommy Brummer Award,
Oh, I
which
heard that.
is quite a
Congratulations.
nice
Yes,
achievement.
indeed.
Yeah.
And you got that was, certainly showed up on the Facebook, and I even got a frame of that photo.
That's nice, that's nice. So congratulations on that. And then I just want to throw out, does anybody, or would anyone like to consider our meetings, 5 or 5:30? Or does 6 o'clock just suit everybody? Just a thought.
You're
No,
really bringing that up
okay.
at the worst possible time
Oh.
of year for him, too.
Very true.
I think you've moved us twice, Lois. You've done well, but 6 is probably about.
All right.
You'll serve us dinner at 5 o'clock, maybe I'll think about it.
Serve you libations
That's
afterwards.
Approved.
Okay. All
Also,
right.
just to let you know, we're in the process of interviewing deputy director's position
Oh, yeah.
for planning.
Mhm.
Hoping to have some information for you at the next meeting.
Very good. Is Rowan okay?
He has some issues that he has to deal with, medical wise, and he just couldn't continue in his capacity. So, I have not heard from him for a while. He's on short-term disability right now.
Anyone ready for adjourning?
Yep.
So moved.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.